Hey, how's it going? This is probably one of the best ghost stories I've ever heard. It has a lot of elements to it. It's just not a spooky haunted house type tale. It's called The Soul of Stephen Strand. It's also referred to as When Lightning Strikes. And I'm just going to summarize it here. Stephen Strand was a guy from Massachusetts, and he got a job on a whaling boat. I believe it's Captain William Wallace actually was the captain, or it was part of his fleet or something like that. I don't know. That's not important. But anyway, Stephen Strand's on this ship, right? And they shipwreck on the rocks near Cornwall, and everybody pretty much dies on the ship. Okay, so Stephen Strand, as the story goes, is floating above the wreckage, and he sees one Jacques Beaumont, a Frenchman, still kind of alive, kind of wiggling on the rocks. And Stephen Strand says in his head, or whatever limbo he was in, he was like, let me enter this body and you can have my soul, or something like that. Like a deal with the devil, maybe, is the angle of this. But anyway, he enters the Frenchman's body and kicks out the Frenchman's soul, if you will. Okay, so he goes back to Massachusetts eventually, right? And he tries to talk to, he goes home to his wife, but his wife is like, it's not you, and obviously he has to, move, because he sounds like a crazy person, because everybody knows Stephen Strand died. Well, anyway, this guy winds up in Battle Creek, Michigan, and becomes a hermit. And he's walking around. He acquires a black dog and a black cat, I guess, and that's his posse. But anyway, so this young man from Battle Creek likes to explore around Battle Creek, Lake Gongyak or something like that, a French name. But anyway, he saves the cat from a rattlesnake, which there aren't many rattlesnakes in Michigan. There's a Michigan rattler, and it doesn't even have a rattle on it, but that's besides the point again. And he brings the cat back to the hermit, and the hermit is very grateful. He invites him into his little cottage thing, and they're having coffee. It's a neat, well-kept little cottage, because he just decides to be reclusive. He's not crazy. I'm rambling, but anyway, but a storm comes on, right? It's raining, and the clouds are getting dark, and lightning and thunder come out, and the man starts reacting. The hermit starts reacting very frightened. He cowers in the corner and everything like that. And the young man is like, "Is there anything I can do?" And the guy's like, "You can just listen to my story." And he tells him the story about how he came to be Jacques, the Frenchman. And obviously, it's a pretty crazy tale, and I think the kid just thinks it's just that, a tale, and he's crazy. But regardless, before the young man leaves, Jacques, or Stephen Strand, gives him this matchbox, a gold engraved matchbox with Jacques' name on it. That was, I'm gonna get to that. I'm not gonna ruin that punchline. But anyway, so he leaves the man, and I don't know, he might have visited, they might have had a friendship, but anyway, at some point, the young man goes to France, right? And somehow he comes across this lady, and she asks for a smoke, right? And so he whips out a smoke and gives it to her, and he also lights it for her with the exact matchbox that the old man, the hermit, gave to him. And the woman freaks out, because she's like, "How did you get that?" And I don't remember if he tells the tale of how the old man gave it to him or not. But because, you know, do you tell that the lady? But come to find out, that was a gift she had given to the Jacques guy. The body that Stephen Strand stole and is now living in Battle Creek. And that's pretty much where the story, legend, whatever ends. If I was her, I'd want to go see him because, you know, who are we but a body? I mean, even though weird things can happen to the computer, souls can ooze out and ooze in. I'd still, if I was her, I'd want to go see him because, you know, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if she knew the whole story of how he got the matchbook, but either way, if my loved one was lost and then found, I'd want to go see him. But yeah, I read that in a book, Haunted Heartland, really good book. They have another Michigan story about, I don't know if it's in the same book, there's like 2 books about Haunted Heartland, but one's about a torso and an attic or something like that, like a phantom of a torso shows up in like an attic or something in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's where I went to school. But anyway, yeah, another another factor that I forgot was it's better in the book because I'm just reading this off the internet, and I'll post the link in the comments. But was whenever the lightning struck, the hermit could see the Frenchman like silhouetted, like just he's hanging out in the woods. Like, how spooky is that? Just waiting, because I guess like he thought like maybe the Frenchman could re-enter his body and kick Stephen Strand out, the guy who's occupying the body, through the power of lightning, or that's just when he haunted him. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's why he's so terrified of lightning, is because that's when he was able to enter the Frenchman. And like one of these days, you know, he'll get kicked out. And man, I gotta reread that story because I think the kid even went back to meet him, but he was gone. And they don't really say, they allude like maybe the Frenchman got back in and he pieced out and went back to France or something. But yeah, it's a really good story. It's like the most epic, compelling ghost story I've ever heard. Nobody ever talks about it. But yeah, that's the soul of Stephen Strand, man. And manettes. Okay, bye.